My name is Veronica. I'm standing in a backyard filled with around 80 people, the air thick with the smell of charcoal, cheap beer, and cut grass. It's my father's 60th birthday party, and the atmosphere turns icy cold the moment he spots me. His smile vanishes like a puff of smoke, and I know this is the moment I've been waiting for, the moment to expose the truth he's hidden for so long. Let me take you back to the beginning. My mother, Amelia, was the heart and soul of our family. She worked as a schoolteacher, and her gentle nature made our home a warm and loving place. She had a way of diffusing the tension between my father, Henry, and me. A soft touch on my shoulder when his voice got harsh, a change of topic when his eyes turned cold. She was my shield, my safe haven. But when I was 12, our world shattered. My mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. The doctors gave her a year, but she fought like a warrior, lasting 18 months. She never gave up, not for a single day, always thinking about me and my brother, Lucas. Before my mother got sick, my father was already distant towards me. Lucas, who was 2 years younger, was his favorite. He'd take Lucas fishing on weekends, play catch with him in the yard, and take him to baseball games. With me, it was different. I felt like an outsider in my own family. After my mother's funeral, my father's true colors came out. One day, I overheard him talking to his friend on the phone. "Veronica doesn't look like anyone in this family. She's not mine," he said. I was heartbroken. I was just a child, and I couldn't understand why he would say such a thing. From that day on, things got worse. Lucas got new clothes and toys, while I had to make do with hand-me-downs. He got the bigger room, and I was moved to the attic, where it was cold in the winter and hot in the summer. My grandmother, Martha, would visit on holidays. She'd slip me a $10 bill when no one was looking and give me a tight hug, as if she was trying to convey something she couldn't say. By the time I was 16, the gap between Lucas and me was like an unbridgeable chasm. Lucas got a brand new skateboard for his 14th birthday, while I asked my father for $30 to buy art supplies. He just scoffed and said, "Ask your real father." Lucas looked at me with pity in his eyes, but he never said a word. I got a job at a local diner to earn some money. The owner, Mr. Thompson, paid me $6 an hour and let me have leftovers for dinner. Meanwhile, Lucas went on a family vacation with my father, leaving me at home to work. On my 18th birthday, I baked myself a small cake with the money I'd saved from tips. I lit a single candle and was about to blow it out when my father came in. He took out a $50 bill and threw it at me, saying, "Get out. I'm done paying for someone else's mistake." My grandmother was in the living room, and I heard her sigh, but she didn't come to my defense. Lucas stood at the stairs, his face pale, but he remained silent. I took the $50 bill, folded it, and put it in my pocket. I called my Uncle Leo, my mother's younger brother. He was a mechanic and lived above his auto repair shop. He showed up in his old pickup truck 30 minutes later. I packed a small bag and left that house without looking back. Uncle Leo welcomed me with open arms. His apartment was small and a bit shabby, but it felt like home. He didn't ask me what had happened. He just said, "You're safe here." He had his own struggles. He'd been in the Navy for 5 years and came back with some emotional scars. He drank a lot at first, but after my mother's death, he decided to quit. I found a sobriety chip in his drawer a few months later. Leaving my father's house didn't end my problems. My father started spreading rumors about me, saying that my mother had confessed on her deathbed that I wasn't his. My relatives stopped talking to me. I called my Aunt Sarah, my mother's sister, but she didn't answer my calls. I sent her a card for her birthday, but it came back unopened. 3 years later, when I was 21 and studying to be a nurse, I got a call from my mother's best friend, Rachel. "I heard what your father's been saying," she said. "It's not true. Your mother was the most loyal person I've ever known. When she was pregnant with you, she suspected your father was having an affair, but she never had proof." I was shocked. I never thought about that possibility. Rachel continued, "If you want the truth, you can do a DNA test. Science doesn't lie." I waited a year to gather the courage. I wanted to do it for my mother, to clear her name. Then, on Thanksgiving, Lucas called me. Dad's going out. Come over for an hour. I'll make coffee, he said. I drove to the house in Uncle Leo's truck. When I got there, Lucas and I sat at the kitchen table and made small talk. Then my father came home. He looked at me as if I was a stain on the floor. What are you doing here? He asked. Lucas invited me, I replied. Lucas doesn't make decisions in my house, he snapped. Lucas stood up and said, Dad, it's Thanksgiving. But my father just said, she's not family. That was the moment I decided to take action. On my way out, I took a coffee mug my father had used. I knew it had his DNA. For weeks later, the results came back. The paternity index was 8,746,291 to 1, and the probability of paternity was 998%. My father, Henry, was my biological father. I was both relieved and angry. All those years of being treated like an outsider, all the lies, were based on a false assumption. I put the results in an envelope, wrote my father's name on it, and mailed it to him. 2 weeks later, it came back, stamped, returned to sender. I decided to focus on my life. I graduated from nursing school at the top of my class. Uncle Leo was so proud. He came to the graduation in a suit he'd bought just for the occasion. I got a job at a local hospital, working in the pediatric ward. It was a challenging but rewarding job. Meanwhile, my father's life went on as usual. Lucas got married at 25 and I wasn't invited. I found out from a post on social media. It hurt, but I was starting to build a new life for myself. 6 months before my father's 60th birthday party, my grandmother passed away. She had a heart attack and died in her sleep. My father made it clear that I wasn't welcome at the funeral. I sat in my apartment, looking at a photo of my grandmother holding me as a baby, and cried. A few weeks later, I got a call from a lawyer. My grandmother had left me an envelope. I went to the lawyer's office during my lunch break. The lawyer, a middle-aged woman named Mrs. Jenkins, handed me the envelope. Your grandmother arranged this 6 months ago, she said. I opened the envelope in my car. Inside was a letter. My grandmother wrote that she'd known the truth for a long time. She'd caught my father with another woman, a woman named Lisa, in a motel 6 months before I was born. My mother was 7 months pregnant at that time. My father had begged her to keep it a secret, and she had, out of fear of losing her son. She wrote, Veronica, you were always my granddaughter. Your mother was innocent. Your father made a mistake, and I helped him cover it up. I'm sorry. I called Rachel that night and told her about the letter. She said, your mother suspected it, but she never had proof. She carried that burden alone. I put the DNA results and the letter in a new envelope and kept it in my drawer. I knew that if my father ever came after me again, I'd be ready. 3 weeks later, Lucas called me. Dad's having a 60th birthday party. I want you to come, he said. Why now? I asked. Because my wife, Emily, is pregnant, and I want our child to grow up in a family where the truth is known, he replied. I thought about it for a few days and talked to Uncle Leo. He said, if you want to go, go. I'll be outside in case you need to leave. On the day of the party, I dressed up in a simple black dress and put the envelope in my bag. When I arrived at the party, the backyard was full of people. My father's friends, relatives, and neighbors were all there. My father saw me, and his face turned white. For the first hour, he ignored me. He was busy greeting guests, shaking hands, and laughing. But then, around 7 o'clock, someone clinked a glass, and the music stopped. My father walked to the center of the yard, where a microphone was set up. He started talking about his life, his work, and his family. He said, this house, everything I've built, it goes to Lucas because family means blood. Real blood. A few guests glanced at me, but I kept my face calm. Then my cousin Mark, who was standing near the cooler, said, what about Veronica? My father looked at me and sneered. She's here as a guest, not as my daughter. She was never mine. I stood up slowly. Dad, you've spent years telling that story. Can I have 60 seconds to tell mine? I asked. He shrugged and said, go ahead. It won't change anything. I took the envelope out of my bag and held it up. 7 years ago, I mailed this envelope to you. You sent it back unopened. But inside, there's the truth. I opened the envelope and took out the DNA results. I read them out loud. Paternity index, 8,746,291 to 1. Probability of paternity, 998%. Henry is the biological father of Veronica. The crowd was silent. My father said, "That's fake." But I handed the paper to Mark and said, "Call the lab. They can verify it." Then I took out the letter from my grandmother. I read the most important part. I caught Henry with Lisa 6 months before Veronica was born. Amelia was innocent, and I was a coward for keeping quiet. The yard erupted in chaos. People started whispering to each other. My father tried to defend himself, saying that my grandmother was confused. But Rachel stood up and said, she wasn't confused. Amelia cried on my shoulder when she found out about Lisa. Lucas, who had been standing beside my father, took a step back. He looked at my father and asked, "Is it true, Dad?" My father just stood there, silent. His silence was louder than any confession. I pointed to the front of the house and said, "You always wanted to know who my real father is. Well, he's standing right outside. Uncle Leo has been there for me when you weren't." My father looked through the gate and saw Uncle Leo. His face lost all color. I folded the documents and placed them on the table. "DNA says you're my father, but Uncle Leo is my dad," I said. I picked up my bag and walked out of the yard. Uncle Leo opened the passenger door of his truck for me. I got in and he drove away. We didn't say a word for a while. Then he asked, "Are you okay?" "I'm done," I said. "Finally, I'm done." After that, I sent photocopies of the DNA results and the letter to all my relatives. I also sent an email to my father's lawyer, stating that I had no interest in his property, but that I wanted him to stop spreading the lies about my mother. Lucas called me a week later. He said that half of the guests had left the party after I left. My father had locked himself in his room and wouldn't talk to anyone. 3 months passed. The tension in the family started to ease. I still work at the hospital, and I love my job. Lucas and I have started to build a relationship based on truth. His daughter, Amelia, was named after our mother. The $50 bill my father threw at me is framed on my wall. It's a reminder of where I started, of the pain I've endured, and of the strength I've found within myself. I've learned that blood doesn't always make a family. It's the people who love and support you that truly matter. If you're listening to my story and you're going through something similar, I want you to know that you're not alone. You have the power to set boundaries and choose the life you deserve. Don't let someone else's lies define you.